I'm Mike Wallace, an associate professor at Concordia University, Texas. We appreciate you, our supervisors of students who are taking the practicum for their principal certification in Texas. I'd like to cover a few items of importance. You may download a transcript of this video by going to www.ctxeducation.org. The items which we'll cover include TEA's definition of people involved in the practicum, qualifications of the supervisor, checklists and deadlines, the proposal which the student will prepare, the requirements for your initial contact with the student, the observations, weekly email with students, and your final recommendation. TEA defines those involved in the practicum as the field supervisor. They're employed by the university to visit with students and mentors and assist with the practicum experience. That's you. The administrative mentor. This person is employed by the school in which the student is working as an intern. It may be the building principal or the designee. And the instructor. That's the university faculty member teaching the practicum courses. You, as the field supervisor, must be a currently certified Texas administrator. If your certificate is not current, or if you don't have certification, you need to let the university know immediately. Also, the supervisor must have experience in the aspects of the professional certification being pursued by the candidate, that is being a principal. Further, the supervisor can't supervise, according to TEA, until after completing training for site supervision. That's what we're doing here. The expectation is also that the supervisor will guide, assist, and support the candidate during the practicum, as well as report the candidate's progress to the candidate's educator preparation program, that is, the instructor of the course. Understand that the supervisor is not the instructor of the course, only the eyes and ears of the instructor. So you, as supervisor, don't grade students. That's the instructor's job. You also don't interpret the requirements of the course. Those requirements are in the syllabus. If you've supervised students for us or for another institution or another university, we ask that you trash the old forms, handbooks, and procedures. Use only the forms and materials which are on the CTXeducation.org page. Every student in the principal preparation program will be taking their practicum over 2 long semesters. The practicum courses are EDAD 5154, Practicum 1, and EDAD 5254, Practicum 2. Both are only available online. Some of the students you'll be supervising have taken all of their courses online, while others have taken their courses on ground. It's through these online courses that the student will submit all forms for the practicum to the university, as well as to prepare for the 068 state exam and submit their electronic portfolio and resume. All of this is graded by the instructor. Guidelines with grading rubrics for students are in the course. Supervisors need to keep up with whether a student is in the first or second semester of the practicum, as they will be in either Practicum 1 or Practicum 2. There's checklists with important dates for each semester on the CTXeducation.org webpage. It's also critical that the supervisor knows who is instructing the course in which the student is enrolled, because that's who the supervisor needs to contact when things aren't going well for the student. Let's look at the first long semester for the student of the practicum. The student is enrolled in Practicum 1. Your initial contact with the student may be made by telephone, email, or other electronic communication. It must occur within the first 3 weeks of the assignment. That contact must be documented, as it is subject to TEA audit. How you document the initial contact depends upon the contact. Email from a student commenting on your telephone call, or reply to your email from the student, or even a photocopy of a signature of the student on your calendar when sent to the university shows you made contact. I suggest you email the student immediately upon receiving the assignment, then forward the reply of that email to the university. Most of the other documents are given to the student to send, but this initial contact is sent to the university certification staff. You'll receive an email with directions where to send the confirmation of the initial contact. Each student and their mentor are to prepare a practicum proposal. The proposal provides negotiated activities between the student and mentor, which meet the TEA standards. Students have a sample proposal for them to follow in their course material. This document is a plan of activities for the student to complete the required hours established by the state for the university to be able to recommend the student for principal certification. It's not a contract which obligates the parties. There's a place for you to review the proposal and sign it. Now, if you don't get your signature on the proposal, the instructor can accept the document without it. However, we prefer you help the student with this proposal, and the instructor may send the proposal that the student submits to you to follow up with the student if it's needed. Remember, the activities planned are suggestions based upon the needs of the campus and district, the skills of the student, and the requirements of the practicum by the state of Texas and Concordia University. The state requires all 5 standards be addressed in the practicum activities. You can offer suggestions, but you can't direct that something happens or not. We don't run the school. We only make suggestions. Remember, it's a proposal, a plan. It's not a contract, but it does accomplish a few things. It helps the student plan meaningful activities so the student doesn't have to hunt for ways to log hours. It also helps the principal in planning the administrative activities for the campus. The proposal will be sent by the student to the university through their online portal, just as they will be sending almost all other documents and forms that relate to the practicum. The student must log at least 160 hours during the practicum, with no less than 20 hours being logged in each standard. The principal or the mentor may assign additional hours for the student to complete based upon the needs of the campus and the student. In addition, at least one mini project should be developed based upon the needs of the campus. The mini project should involve an activity which would provide a long-term benefit to the campus, district staff, or students. The mini project could involve elements of research which might include a needs assessment or a program assessment. It might include a pilot program, a safety plan, an improvement plan, a policy recommendation, or a procedures revision. At one time, we tried to make a 5-chapter research paper fit this mini project. That model just doesn't seem to fit everyone, so we want to see students deliver something that makes sense for the student and for the student to stand out as they help their principal and campus. This mini project could simply be noted with an asterisk in the proposal. Okay, you've done the initial contact with the student and you helped him draft a proposal. Now, let's look at the observations the supervisor makes on the campus. The checklist will show 2 observations in Practicum 1 and 1 observation in Practicum 2. TEA states the field supervisor shall document professional practices observed and provide written feedback through an interactive conference with the candidate. The form on www.ctxeducation.org provides some good directions. Remember that observations will be made only on the observation form provided for this semester. The state requires each observation to be at least 45 minutes in duration, and there must be documented feedback with the specified amount of time on the form for the feedback. This bears repeating. The state requires each observation must be at least 45 minutes in duration, and there must be documented feedback with a specified amount of time on the form for that feedback. So how much feedback is needed? Well, it depends on how much is given. But the time you spend on the feedback must be after the 45-minute observation. Do a 40-minute observation with 10 minutes of feedback, that's unacceptable. do 45 minutes of observation with 2 minutes of feedback, and that meets TEA's rules, at least by their current audit guide. The first observation must be within the first 6 weeks of all assignments. A minimum of 3 observations must occur during the practicum, and again, the checklist will show 2 observations in practicum 1, 1 observation in practicum 2. So, what constitutes an observation? Actual observation of a student in the act of doing an administrative act, says TEA. Well, what's an administrative act? That's a good question. Supervising an assembly or a sporting event or a hall duty, those are obvious activities you can observe. Be careful about FERPA violations regarding observing discipline or special education. A conference with a student in which the student reflects on administrative experiences or concerns can be very valuable. You may not be present when the student steps in an administrative challenge, but you can certainly help them reflect on their actions, and I'd suggest a reflection is an administrative act. Let me give you an example. We had a student handle a routine administrative duty at a junior varsity soccer contest in which a near riot occurred. He had to call the police. He had to protect the game officials. He had to call for help from school principals. He had to try to calm the coaches and fans, and he had to announce the end of the contest as the officials ended the game due to the fan and visiting team behavior. What an administrative experience worthy of reflection with a seasoned administrator. You as supervisor may have missed the mob scene, but you certainly could help the student learn from this experience. When you finish the observation and feedback, give the completed form which you have signed to the student. They'll get their principal mentor to sign it, and then they'll send it to the instructor through their online course portal. Here are some other important duties that you have as supervisor. Keep tabs on the student with a weekly email. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out, but it should be enough for you to get a feel how things are going. It allows you to help the student with minor matters and to make the professor and university aware of major concerns. Each week, exchange an email with the student, and it should include their log of hours and a reflection of those logged hours sent back to you. Significant events like the student getting into contractual difficulty or the principal being reassigned should be topics of student email. And if the student doesn't send you an email each week, simply send the student a reminder and copy the instructor with your email. By the way, the instructor will probably be requiring students to send through an online portal a copy of their log and reflections each month. If a student asks what is required, refer them back to their instructor and the course syllabus. You'll also need to do a final evaluation. Use the form on the ctxeducation.org webpage. You must make a final recommendation for certification of the student based upon your observations. Send the completed evaluation form to the student with your signature. It's up to the student to get the principal to sign it and to submit the form to the university via their course portal. If you have a question or concern or a doubt, contact the instructor. Thank you again for your service. We appreciate your helping these future administrators develop into true Christian leaders.